Hello, and welcome to Authors Amplified. I'm your host, Stephanie O'Neill. My show is a part of the Amplified Podcast Network, where ideas echo and voices resonate. With over 20 years at Christian Television Network, I've had the privilege of meeting countless talented and spiritual individuals, and it's too inspiring not to share. I'm just a girl who loves Jesus wholeheartedly. I'm eager to learn and grow, and I'd like you to join me on this journey. In each episode, I'll be speaking with Christian authors who will share their stories and insights about the books they've written. I'm thrilled to have you with us, so let's get started. Welcome to Authors Amplified. I am super excited about this interview today. I want people to start praying to their children, reading to their children again, and I want children to get interested in books again, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm super excited. We have Shellie Wooten with us today. She writes children's books, and she's just going to tell us about the book. She's going to tell us about herself, and I hear there's stories along the way. So Shellie, welcome so much for being here. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for asking.
It's so great. Can we just hear a little bit about you first so the listeners know who they're listening to?
Sure. So my husband and I are in Salt Lake City, Utah. We have 4 kids and 2 grandkids, one on the way. But my husband is the lead pastor of a church here in Utah, Life Church, Utah. And we came here almost 8 years ago and just have loved it. It's just been, I honestly didn't think Utah was going to find such a wiggle its way into my heart the way it has, but it sure has. And we love the people. We love our church. We just pinch ourselves and so excited to be here. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I don't think I know anybody from Utah, so now I can say I do.
Now you do. Now you got to come visit.
You're right. So, children's books, right? You're writing children's books. Why did you decide to write children's books?
Right after we moved here, I love the sun and I love sitting out in the sun, and I was in my backyard, enjoying we have lots of sunny days in Utah, enjoying the sun in the backyard. And I honestly wasn't even thinking about it. I was just enjoying my warmth and some vitamin D. And the Lord it was like he just hit me with this idea. And I ran inside and talked to my daughter, who was at the time in 7th grade. And I told her all the things that I felt like the Lord had just dropped in my heart in one big lump. And it was, I want you to write about the fruits of the Spirit. I want you to write these children's books. I want the fruits to not be fruits, but to be kids, and to be multicultural, and that kids will see themselves in these kids. 9 books and focus on each of the fruits of the Spirit. I am not a writer. In school, when I wrote a paper, I always got back awkward. The sentence structure is all wrong. And so I've never deemed myself a writer. And I thought, what? This isn't me. This isn't what I do. But I thought, you know what? I'll tackle it. I told my daughter about it. She's like, I like that idea, Mom. I think that sounds really cool. And so I kind of started brainstorming and got to work. I just felt like, okay, I'm just going to walk in obedience. And so that's how this all started.
I think it's very interesting because you had never thought of being an author or a writer. And I believe that the Lord lays things on our hearts sometimes that we can't do in our own self, right? In our own way. But I think sometimes we think, oh no, that can't be the Lord speaking to me because that's not something I would ever be able to do. When he really is, because he wants you to do it with him.
Yes. And you totally nailed it on the head, because that's how I felt. I felt like I am unable. And I had dabbled in blog writing. I felt like the Lord would drop things on my heart, and I wrote a couple blogs. They were real simple, just silly things that I felt like the Lord was speaking to me, but never did I think myself a writer. And so this just opened the door a little bit But then a couple years after, I wrote and published my very first book, Dream Big Sunshine, and that was the introduction of all of the fruits of the spirit, the kids meeting over a parade that goes wrong, and that both of them have things that go wrong, but together they worked it out and able to finish the parade together. It's a real simple idea, but it introduced all of the characters. After that book, um, my world changed dramatically because I was diagnosed with cancer, multiple myeloma. And what started off as a journey of writing children's books turned into writing my story down in blog form, through my whole journey of going through cancer and all of the things that go along with cancer, the heartache through all of it.
Mm.
But it was like the Lord knew I needed that grounding of writing to help me get through. Excuse me. And then on days that, I felt like the Lord carried me with sharing the story of what God was doing in my own heart. I always, every time I wrote a blog or every time I wrote the story, I wanted to point back to who God is, because if it's not his story, it's gonna live and die with me. It's
Right.
gotta be his story through my story, because that's what changes hearts and lives. That's what makes all of the difference. And so um the Lord used it. It gave me purpose, through what could have been a very dark and dismal time. I felt like the Lord started it with the idea of writing children's books, but it was like I was able to carry people through what God was doing through my life through
Mm.
this cancer journey. So it's pretty cool.
Yes, I too am a cancer survivor.
Oh,
So
wow.
praise God that we're both here and
Yes.
what he wants us
Yes.
to do. That's amazing. Okay, so you said he pretty much downloaded what he wanted you to write about, right?
Yes. Hmm.
I always think of people of authors like having these amazing imaginations, because I don't think I could come up with what like what you come up with. So how did you come up with the storylines? Like he gave you like what he wanted, but how did you come up with the storylines for that?
Um, you know, right away I started brainstorming, like, because I knew it was going to be about kids and
Mm-hmm.
their journey and their friendships, and how they, in the midst of those times, those simple prayers that are prayed, and how God gives us, the answers.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew those were kind of the entirety of the story, but it was as I worked through storylines and friendships, it just started kind of emerging.
Mm-hmm.
Back when my daughter was little, she was the fourth child, surprise child, in 11 years after our first.
Oh, wow.
I remember listening to, while I was cooking dinner, I would be listening to her watching My Little Pony and the friendships that they had. And I loved the little simple storylines of friendship and how that carried through kind of that genre of television.
Mm-hmm.
And so I liked that. That was something that I thought I would love that for the kids that I feel like the Lord has given me through this, that their friendships really emerge and show up. And so in the process of that, I kind of fell into a little guy who's like my anti character. He's always working against, and his little name is Fergus. And so through the arc of all of the stories, I I'm my goal is to have Fergus become a little brave guy. He's afraid of everything, and it comes through with being naughty. And so he's always the antagonist in the process of the stories. But at the end, I want there to be redemption. And so that's going to be woven through the book series. But in the process of going through cancer, I wrote some like colorful picture books too, and one of them is Simon the Snail, and he's a little guy who is having a bad day, and he figures out that, you know what, I'm going to have a good attitude. Even though I'm having a bad day, I'm going to have a good attitude. And so that all took place when I was going through cancer and really having that good attitude
Right.
through sometimes some hard days,
Mm-hmm.
it really can be a positive thing. And I want that for our kids. I want them to get that in them as little kids, that they can have a good attitude. They can get through dark days.
Mm-hmm.
They do have hope. They do have a future.
Right.
So,
So
yeah.
it sounds like these books would be a great opportunity for a parent to share lessons, but in a fun way.
Yep.
You know, because
So,
kids go to school all day. Like they don't want to have school at night too, but it would be a fun
yeah.
way to teach.
Yes. Actually, so I wrote the first book and then I had a friend read it, and she came back. She had written a couple kids' books, and she said, I think it'd be great if you added like some parent teacher helps at the end.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, I never thought about that before.
Mm-hmm.
And so she challenged me in that area. And so I went back to the drawing board and wrote some parent teacher help. So at the end of each, at the there's at the end of the book, but for each chapter there are questions and areas where the parents can dig deeper, or teachers if it's in a school, where they can dig deeper and ask some questions like, what did you think about that? Tell me more. It's an opportunity to engage in conversation with our kids. So yeah, I just published it with that added ending to it. So that's kind of fun.
I love that because parents these days are so absolutely busy that like there can't be one more thing. Like they can't put a lesson together for this book, but you've given them what they need to be able to
Mhm.
do it easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's nice. Can you talk about a few of the lessons that are woven in some of the books? Like what can the children learn about?
It's really just digging deeper and asking, like each chapter there's a sorry.
You're okay.
I actually wrote down so I wouldn't forget.
Yeah.
um There's a big idea, and then there's questions about the chapter to invite conversation. There's also a live it out section. So, how can I live this out with my friends,
Mm,
or how can I live this out with school, or at home? There's also some creative ideas and crafts, and then there's scriptures that they can read together. So every chapter deals with like a fruit of the spirit. There's like a highlighted fruit of the spirit, and they can talk about that,
mm,
um, and what, and their child's perspective. A lot of times kids will just close down. They're tired. They don't want to talk when
mm.
school's over, but really giving those open opportunities to say, hey, let me hear what you have to think about this through a book where it's like ground that is I'm trying to think of how to put it.
Mhm.
Um, just an opportunity to come together and talk about something that's not school or
Right.
not dinner or not the problems, but just a simple book.
Yeah, just a communication.
Hmm.
It's really nice. I was going to ask you, how do you make your characters relatable to children? But I'm assuming since you had four children, you had a lot to tap into there.
We do, yeah. And it's funny because I wrote Simon the Snail, and my grandson was at the time two. And it's really like when you finish a book and you put it out there, it's like bearing your heart.
Mm,
And it's raw. Like, oh, is anybody gonna like this? Is it gonna land? Is it going to, make a difference? And the book was still in paper form, and my daughter took it home, and he wanted to read it every night. And boy, did that make my heart happy.
oh my
I was
gosh,
so excited. I'm like,
yes.
yay. If he wants to read it, he loved it because Simon fell down and hit his head. And he thought that was hysterical. Of course, to a 2-year-old, when, they're falling down all the time, that's what's funny to them. But,
Mhm.
I love that he wanted to hear it over and over again. That made me so happy.
That's so wonderful. I love that. Were there any surprises? Like, what's the most surprising thing you learned while writing for children? Because it's a totally different thing than writing for adults.
Um, Honestly, just writing in general, dialogue. Oh
Mm,
goodness. I just, I never really, you really have to go back and think, okay, does this dialogue really sound like what kids would say to each other?
Yes.
Trying to get in their minds and trying to connect. So I can tell a story, but telling a story through dialogue is just it's a different level for me. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
still learning. This was
Yeah.
all like I felt like I'm walking in obedience.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I'm in this journey to learn as well and to hear what God wants me to do through all of this. But yeah, just there I'm learning in so many areas.
So you tell us the names of the books and just give us a
Okay.
tiny synopsis
Okay.
of what they are.
So
Yeah.
sure. So the Land of Promise books, I is incorporating in all the books, but I also have some picture books, and then I have the book series. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of two different. The book series are the Land of Promise Adventures, and I have Dream Big Sunshine. And in that book, it's, as I said before, it's two groups of friends. They don't know each other, but they come together with one friend who has, a friend group in both.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this parade that goes wrong, and they have to work together to make it happen. And that's how they are all introduced. And then in the misadventure of the blustery wind, after they're friends, they decide to go and they're going to Goody's. Goody has a pop that is his grandfather who's taking them up on a hot air balloon. And Fergus, I don't like to call him a villain because
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be redemption, but he's
Yes.
the villain in the book. He wants them to have a bad day because he has
Mm-hmm.
no friends, and it's hard for him to see friends. So he decides to have uh be kind of naughty, and he punches the bags that are holding the hot air balloon down.
Mm-hmm.
And without an adult, they end up going up in the air. And so the whole book is them working through fear and working together to bring the hot air balloon back down again.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I have a book that's written, but I'm waiting on my illustrator, and that's The Sunbeam versus the Shadowcaster. And in this book, Jen is afraid of the dark. And so she's working through some uh, issues with school and some working through a science project. And she gets locked in a closet, and she has to look to God for help and have bravery to get out of that situation. So that one is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have Simon the Snail about having a good attitude. Freddie the Finch is coming. It's being written, and that is about being brave over fear.
Mm-hmm.
And then my last book I have that's currently in the works is Blink the Bear, and it's about a bear who sits and stares all day on the side of the mountain, and he stares out at the land in front of him, and he thinks, why doesn't somebody plant something pretty? This is so ugly to look at. But he never realizes that he himself is sitting in beauty.
Oh.
And until someone comes along and opens his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So all of them have like a moral.
Right.
They all work together to help, uh, I hope, kids to see not just their own perspective, but see outside of their perspective.
Okay, and you
So,
said the last one, is that going to be the last one, or are you waiting to see what the Lord does after that?
well, there's no, that was the last one so far.
Okay, so
No, there's
far.
more. There's
Yeah.
more coming.
Okay. So you go from not being an author to all these amazing books.
Well, I'm working. I've got three that are printed and they're out there, but three more that are in the works. So 6 books and more to come.
That's wonderful. What
Yeah.
piece of advice would you give somebody, being an author or anything, if the Lord has laid something on their hearts,
Mm.
it's not something they've ever done before, that they've even ever thought about doing before, what advice would you give somebody who has had that happen and they don't know what to do?
I, Honestly, just start writing.
Mm,
Start writing every day. Take time and just God gives you something, start writing it down. and leave it there, come back to it. I feel like some of these ideas were started years ago, and then I circled back to them and started working on them again. And definitely during times where I needed something else to focus on. So it was a great opportunity for God to move in a mighty way in my life. Ask questions, like I feel like I have to publish a book. I feel like I should have gone to school and gotten a degree in something, because there's a lot of things, intricacies and things about it that, boy, I wish I would have known more,
Right.
um, find a writers group in your area. I've
Oh, I
just
love that. Yeah.
started. Yeah, I've just started that. There's a lot out there. You just have to search. But there's people that have already done the legwork and they have the knowledge, and they're so willing. When someone loves something, they're so willing to share their knowledge with you. So don't be afraid to ask questions and to get involved and I feel like I'm a timid writer. I'm
Hmm.
still asking the questions. I'm still in that process of learning more and getting myself out there. And, you know, uh, I just did a conference last week where I spoke and shared the books, and that was just an awkward place for me because it's not
Oh,
where I've never been in that
yeah.
role before. So I'm still learning, but I feel like God's opening up doors, and that's so cool. You never know what God's going to do with your idea or your
Right.
story, um, because what I have to share and what that person has to share, um, is unique to you and your circle of friends and the influence that God has given you. So don't think that, oh, well, I don't have anything, I don't have enough, or I don't have the knowledge, because you can start small and you can grow and you can always edit. Like
Right. Right.
I, I feel like you can edit forever and never be done. But yeah, it's important, if you feel like God is putting something on your heart, don't allow the insecurities to
Mm,
stop, because
yeah.
that will stop us from doing anything in the world.
Right.
um, God's got so much in store for us, and we just need to walk with him, not
Yeah.
against what he wants us to do.
Yeah. I think a very important lesson in that is just because the Lord lays it on your heart and gives you the instructions doesn't mean you're going to be doing it professionally from the beginning. He's probably wanting to stretch you, to grow you, to teach you, and that doesn't happen if you can do everything immediately.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. That's great.
So
Great
good.
advice.
Where can readers find your books and follow your work?
So you can go to the website landofpromisebooks.com, and I have, everything is there. You can go to the bottom, and there's social media links as well. So yeah, if people want to connect, I would love that.
And on a side note, are your blogs still available when you
They are. Yeah,
could?
from the start of when I had cancer, they'd have to go back in time
Yeah.
and work their way forward.
Hmm.
But yeah, they are there, and every blog, I just really wanted Jesus to come through in
Yeah.
what he was
Where can
doing.
those be found?
They can go to Land of Promise
Oh,
Books
there too.
as well.
Oh,
And there's a
great.
link.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a link tree at the very bottom, and they can go to the link tree and go right to the blogs.
Because I know when I was going through cancer, hearing stories from other people who went through
Mhm.
it and survived and everything was so helpful. And to know
Yes.
that the things I was experiencing, I wasn't the only one.
Yeah, it's that it is important to know, because you feel like you're out there on your own. But I just felt like in those moments, God puts us in places that we aren't normally invited into.
Hmm.
And so when I went for my treatments, I thought, Lord, I am here with all of these hurting people. What do you have for this today? What do you have
Yeah.
for me to say to people today? And I really felt like God opened up opportunities that I would have never had it if I'd not had cancer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's the
yeah.
time to get out of yourself. As hard as it is to do because you're going through something, that's the time
Yes.
that you go, okay, Lord, I'm listening. Like, tell me
Yep.
what to do. Tell me who to talk to.
Yep. Yep.
That's
It's
so
so
good.
good.
Yeah. So say the website again.
Landofpromisebooks.com.
Okay. The author is Shellie Wooten. I appreciate your time so much. This is so much fun. And I am just so excited to get parents reading to their children and children back to reading books and getting off of screens.
That's so good. Yes,
So
I
thank
agree.
you. Thank you so much for your time, Shellie.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
God bless you.
Bless you.
Thanks for tuning in to Authors Amplified. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and subscribe for more incredible authors next time.